the story of Boy Swallows Universe is the reason why I'm happy. I really have thought a lot about how it's very deep to me, that story, and it comes from a very dark place, but it's brought all of these beautiful, bright, light, wondrous things, and there's such power in that. And that's what I feel. Like when I stand in QPAC and I know that this thing is here because of something that came out of my head, I get very deeply moved and inspired by the journey of that. I wrote this thing so I could show the world why I think my mum is my hero, like is a really kind of extraordinary woman for surviving the things she survived. That's all through that story. But also, I wanted to show my kids that. It's deeply beautiful and gratifying, yeah, to see this kind of wild dream, like this thing that I thought was just a complete wild story that no one would, like, I thought maybe 10 people might read it, maybe I'd get lucky and 100 people might read it. There's no way on earth that I could have possibly imagined that I'd be standing here and watching these amazing theatre people bump in and set up Boggo Road on the QPAC stage, you know. And I said, Mum, I'm sorry. You know, I wish you raised a carpenter. I could have built you a cupboard, but you raised a writer, and I wrote you a book, and you really need to read it because you need to make sure that every sentence in that book you're okay with, because I don't know where this thing's going to go. And she read it in 2 days, and it was the greatest. Oh man, I get emotional thinking about it. It was the greatest phone call of my life. Like, I was at home, I was writing a magazine piece for my other life, like as a journo, and I pick up the phone, it's Mum, and she's like, so I read the book, and I'm like, yeah, and she just said, it's beautiful, and it's bigger than us, Trent. Let rip, go for it. And the greatest gift she could ever have possibly have given me was that story. You know, it's so deep to me. I keep calling her up and I'm saying, Mum, this play, it's really intense. There's things in here that might be tough for you to see. And she's like, well, there better be, you know, and what she's saying is this play better reflect the stories of all those mums out in the suburbs of Brisbane, out in the suburbs of Sydney, you know, the outer suburbs that, you know, these incredible mums who just power through, often single mums going through all sorts of stuff that they survive on a daily basis. There's mums going through that tonight. You know, there's nothing like the visceral, gut-punching nature of a theatre environment. And to see Michaela Bennis giving her heart and soul, playing this woman I love, Frankie Bell, that is 50% from fact and 50% from up here, but her giving 100% of her heart and soul to that character, like, I start crying when I see it, and I have to sort of hide my tears when I'm around Michaela because she's playing things that are so deep to me. And Andrew Buchanan, who's just one of the great Queensland actors, playing people that are absolutely from my past and kind of villainous characters that come from very real places. People will come to this thing, they will come to this play, and my hope is that they drive home like genuinely knowing the meaning of life. So it just covers everything. I'm so proud of what they're doing in there, you know. It's something that goes to the edge of the universe, to the center of the heart, the human heart, and to everything that is important, like love and hope and family and all the good stuff, you know, all that good stuff of life, yeah. Darra is a very special place, and these outer suburbs of Brisbane, Darra, Bracken Ridge, are absolutely in my heart and soul. And all through my childhood, I never saw these places in books. And no one ever seemed to write the stories that I knew about in the kitchens, in the red brick housing commission houses that I knew. And I generally just wanted to write a book that spoke of those worlds with the same fealty that Maloof writes about his Brisbane, and the same joy that Tim Winton gets out of Western Australia. That's my world. I want to put it up on a pedestal and show the magic of it. And, you know, oh man, I'm so excited about my mates from Bracken Ridge coming to this play. Like, I cannot even tell you. And I know, because I've seen what it's going to look like and what it's going to sound like, and that it sounds true. And I know for a fact they're going to walk out with a beaming smile on their face because they've been seen. the people of Brisbane have embraced this thing. You know, it's sort of, I love the posters that say Trent Dalton's Boy Swallows universe, and it's not mine. You know, this play is Brisbane's. This play belongs to this city, and I've said it before. From, you know, it's the stories from Darra Station Road all the way to Racecourse Road, from Brackenridge Road all the way to George Street, and that gets me really excited that it's open to anyone, this story. It's an invitation to every last person in this city to come and see this thing, because it's the story of Brisbane. I spent 20 years asking people about how things feel, how it feels to have something on in the city that I love. I've interviewed theatre people, I've interviewed directors, I've interviewed writers, I've interviewed actors, and I always feel their enthusiasm, and I feel their nervousness, and I feel their excitement. As a journo, I've felt that for 20 years, and now it's really surreal for me to be the person who's feeling all those things. And
it's very difficult to play an age, so I try to not think about how young Eli is and just go with where he's at in his life and the things he's facing, and he faces a lot. Well, I've met Trent a couple of times. The first time I met him, I was super nervous to meet him because I was like, am I the right Eli? Because I want to do Trent's book proud. I want to do Trent proud because this is essentially his story. Eli is Trent Dalton in some respects. The closer we get to the show, the more I'm like, am I doing this right, Trent? Am I doing this right? Is this your vision? But I feel super supported because we have an amazing team behind us. I couldn't put the book down before my first audition. A lot of people in Brisbane in particular are gonna feel a connection to the character before they even see me play Eli Bell on stage. So to have that opportunity is an absolute privilege. The beauty of the play and with Trent's book is that each scene propels you into the next and the next and the next. So you get your energy from, I get my energy from acting. Eli is faced with adversity and he takes a very positive approach to it all. He's constantly on the hunt for what it means to be a good man and what it means to be a good person. It's a dream come true. It really is. I get emotional thinking about it, actually. It's good to tell a Brisbane-based story. I know Brisbane so well. I grew up in Brisbane, so and looking at the rest of the world and the rest of the country at the moment, I don't think we take any of it for granted, yeah. But it's also a super magical show. It's also a show about hope and a light at the end of the tunnel, which is something we all need right now, yeah.
Yeah, I think my first impression when I read Boy Swallows Universe was probably the same as a lot of people, which was I was completely blown away by it. I devoured it, as most people did, I imagine, and was blown away by it. And I think one thing that struck me in particular was the way that it combined both a coming-of-age story of its protagonist, Eli Bell, with a coming-of-age story of a city in Brisbane in that kind of really seminal era in Brisbane's history. I'm kind of always on the hunt for material that might lend itself to being adapted into a play. So, of course, when I read it, I was struck by how eminently theatrical Boy Swallows Universe is, how much of the novel already lends itself to a theatrical treatment before we even get involved. And, you know, things like Trent's ear for dialogue, for kind of language that's simultaneously authentic and poetic, and also kind of Trent's flair for the kind of big set piece, you know, like the climax of the novel, like, you know, Titus's 80th birthday. So all of those things, you know, were already theatrical and already lent themselves to being brought to the stage. You know, this is the biggest thing that will be going on Australian stage in 2021. And yes, we're very, very privileged in Brisbane to be still making stuff as well. But yeah, this is a extraordinarily large and ambitious production, and that stems from and reflects the ambition of the novel. In a way that, and I think it's particularly true of Brisbane, where there is a collegiate approach amongst the arts community up here, where organisations will come together to create something that is greater than the sum of its parts. And this partnership between Queensland Theatre and QPAC and Brisbane Festival is a case in point of that. I think this is a story that is owned by the people of Brisbane. It's wonderful to be able to take a product that is so cherished and share it with a really wide audience. I think 3 words to describe Boy Swallows Universe would be epic, gripping, and joyous.
I think it's quite nostalgic in a way. I feel like the audience can relate to a lot of the pieces that we'll be putting on stage in regards to costume especially. So detail is incredibly important. It's not just important for the audience, but it's also important for the cast. For them to feel like they're in a fully kind of realised world, hopefully supports their performance and therefore affects the audience in the right way. I just want them to be entertained and to be moved, especially at a time where we haven't actually had a lot of live theatre lately. So yeah, I'm hoping that they're going to have a great night out. We've had absolute luxury of time, and we've also had the luxury of being able to rehearse from day one on the actual set, which is unheard of.
Here in Brisbane, we've got a weekend of a Friday night, a Saturday night and a Sunday, where we've got 3 large opening nights, all at 100%, and all being an antidote for COVID. What COVID does is keep people away. What the arts do best is draw people together. So on the Friday night, we'll have the opening of Boy Swallows Universe, an amazing collaboration between 3 companies. It was meant to happen last year, but it was put off, and this is a fantastic story that's about growing up in Brisbane, and how fantastic that the 3 companies can collaborate to bring it together. On Saturday night, the wonderful Dead Puppet Society brings us Ishmael, their contemporary interpretation of the Moby Dick story, set in space where they put all the characters on their head and take us on a fantastic journey in the Cremorne into outer space and unpack all the issues that Moby Dick has to offer. And then on Sunday night, a really big family night for all families with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where the Lyric Theatre opens its doors to Charlie and as many family members as we can fit in for the next 4 weeks.